In 1964, Elizabeth Taylor made one terrible mistake. She trusted the wrong man. He was a journalist, a ghostwriter for her memoir, and she thought he was there to help. For months, they met in hotel rooms and on ships. She would pour whiskey, light a cigarette, and open her heart. She spoke about love and betrayal, her greatest triumphs and her darkest failures. What she didn't know was that he was secretly recording every word. Those tapes disappeared into an attic for over 50 years until they surfaced, revealing a woman the world thought they knew, but never truly did. A woman who called her Hollywood persona cellophane Elizabeth, the glossy image hiding the real, flesh and blood woman beneath. Elizabeth Rosamond Taylor was born on February 27, 1932, in London, England. Her parents were wealthy American art dealers, their lives steeped in privilege and high society. They lived in Hampstead Garden suburb and ran a Bond Street art gallery frequented by artists, politicians, and even Colonel Victor Cazalet, who became Elizabeth's unofficial godfather. But in 1939, with the shadow of war creeping over Europe, U.S. Ambassador Joseph P. Kennedy urged her father to get the family out. In April, Elizabeth, her mother, and her brother boarded the SS Manhattan for America. Her father stayed behind to close the gallery, joining them later in Pasadena, California, before they eventually moved to Beverly Hills. Even as a child, Elizabeth was magnetic. At 3, she began dance lessons, performing for Princess Elizabeth and Princess Margaret before she had even set foot in Hollywood. When the family arrived in Los Angeles, a friend suggested a screen test. By 10, she landed her first film There's One Born Every Minute, but Universal Pictures dropped her after one film, calling her to mature for audiences. MGM quickly scooped her up, and in 1944, at just 12 years old, she starred in National Velvet. The film made her a star, but the role came with a price. To play Velvet Brown, she followed a strict regimen to grow taller and suffered a severe back injury when she fell from her horse sand injury that would haunt her for life. At 18, MGM orchestrated her marriage to Conrad Nicky Hilton Jr., the hotel heir, to keep her image marketable. They bought her dress, arranged the press. But behind closed doors, Hilton drank heavily and was violent. One assault ended in a miscarriage. 8 months after the wedding, she divorced him for mental cruelty. MGM punished her, forcing her into a lightweight romantic comedy beneath her talent, reminding her that defiance would cost her. But Elizabeth's star power only grew. By 1952, Ivanhoe became MGM's top earner of the year, earning millions worldwide and proving she could carry a film even when she disliked her role. Her second marriage, to British actor Michael Wilding, brought to Sons a 7-year contract worth $4,700 a week, over $55,000 today, and even more control from the studio. But Elizabeth craved better roles and freedom. Then, in May 1956, a tragedy nearly unfolded in her own driveway. Her friend Montgomery Clift crashed his car into a telephone pole just yards from her home. Elizabeth ran barefoot to the wreck, pulling broken teeth from his throat to keep him from choking. She saved his life, but his career never recovered from his injuries. When MGM refused to cast him in suddenly, last summer, Elizabeth offered her $500,000 salary as insurance. He got the role. The film was a hit, but Clift's demons won. He died of a heart attack in 1966, and Elizabeth was shattered. The happiest chapter of her life came in 1957 when she married producer Mike Todd. They had a daughter, Liza, and Todd lavished her with gifts and grand gestures, once renting Madison Square Garden for her birthday. But joy turned to heartbreak in 1958 when Todd's plane crashed, killing him instantly. Elizabeth, just 26, collapsed in grief. Seeking comfort, she turned to Todd's best friend, singer Etta Fisher. Fisher was married to America's sweetheart, Debbie Reynolds, and the affair exploded into scandal. America labeled Taylor a homewrecker. The press vilified her. Yet on May 12, 1959, 3 hours after Fisher's divorce, she married him. She later admitted she never loved him, using him as a crutch for her grief. His jealousy soon turned violent. He would stand over her bed with a gun, whispering she was too pretty to shoot. She fled with her children, leaving him behind. By 1961, Elizabeth had won her first Oscar for Butterfield 8, though she despised the film, believing the award was given out of sympathy after she nearly died from pneumonia the following years. Brought Cleopatra and Richard Burton. Filming was a disaster, ballooning budgets, director changes, near-death illnesses. But what captivated the world wasn't the gold-covered sets, it was the on-set affair between Taylor and Burton, both married to others. Paparazzi caught them embracing on a yacht, and the Vatican's newspaper called her guilty of erotic vagrancy. Fox halted filming. Each day off cost $100,000, yet the scandal made Cleopatra a sensation and cemented them as Hollywood's most famous couple. Taylor divorced Fisher and married Burton in 1964. She also became the first actor to earn $1 million for a single film, plus overtime and his share of profits, ultimately earning the equivalent of $60 million today. Burton's diaries revealed his obsession, calling her beautiful beyond the dreams of pornography and admitting she was an ache in his stomach when they were apart. But their love was as destructive as it was passionate: drunken fights, jealousy, and public scenes. They divorced in 1974, remarried in 1975, and divorced again less than a year later. In 1976, she married Senator John Warner. Trading Hollywood for Washington, D.C. life in politics bored her, and she fell into depression, gaining weight and leaning harder on pills and alcohol. By 1983, she was taking 28 different drugs from 1,000 prescriptions. Her family staged an intervention, and she entered the Betty Ford Clinic, becoming one of the first celebrities to publicly admit addiction. The lost tapes from 1964 to 65, discovered decades later, reveal the unguarded Elizabeth, shy beneath the glamour, feeling like a fraud despite her fame, scarred by her first marriage's abuse and miscarriage. She described living as to people the real Elizabeth and cellophane Elizabeth, the Hollywood product. In 1985, after the death of her friend Rock Hudson from AIDS, she threw herself into activism, while most celebrities stayed silent. She co-founded the American Foundation for AIDS Research, raised over $325 million, and created the Elizabeth Taylor AIDS Foundation in 1991, funding direct care and fighting stigma. She even changed U.S. policy, speaking before Congress and opposing the 1987 HIV travel ban. Taylor also built a perfume empire, launching Passion and White Diamonds, which earned over $1.5 billion and still fund AIDS research today. Her final marriage, to construction worker Larry Fertensky, whom she met in rehab, was a media spectacle at Michael Jackson's Neverland Ranch. It ended in 1996, but she remained fond of him. Elizabeth Taylor died on March 23, 2011, at 79. Surrounded by her four children, she left behind an estate worth up to $1 billion, a groundbreaking legacy in film, business, and activism, and a reminder that behind the cellophane image was a woman who loved fiercely, fought bravely, and lived on her own terms.